really good there.
People really seem to like the expensive cake. They said it was delicious. They said it was moist and had better frosting. Makes sense. You get what you pay for, right?
It's like creamier.
Well, maybe not. Because there's a twist to this game. Cake 1 and cake 2 are exactly the same. That's right. They're the exact same cake made with the same ingredients in the same oven at the same time.
But despite that, our volunteers really thought they were tasting two different cakes.
I think there's something different on the inside, whatever they made it.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
It's moister. Seems like the icing's better.
It's a lot tastier, smoother, richer.
I just like the frosting on that one better.
Each one was better. It's more frosting. It tastes like you have some pudding in it.
Yeah, no, like way better.
So why do their brains think there's a difference?
What do you think the difference is?
The price.
The way it looks.
The price. Okay. But they said it was the same cake.
Yeah.
But the thing is about perception. Okay? And remember, these people control and shape our perceptions. Look at Kanye West. He came out with a t-shirt and was charging $100 for the shirt. It was a plain white t-shirt. Okay? So the thing is that we get manipulated by this system all the time, all right? But check this out. So let's finish this.
Well, seeing a higher price tag often makes us believe that product is simply better.
Much moister.
A more expensive cake must be made with better ingredients.
Maybe some kind of organic imported flour.
Or by a better baker with a secret recipe, right?
They're exactly the same. You're kidding. Not even kidding.
Oh. You promise?
I promise. Same ingredients.
Same
same
everything.
Cake. Everything same.
These are cakes of lies.
So interesting, all right? But here we go. Let's go for our second one. About a week or two ago, Payless did this experiment. I don't know if you heard about it.
I
All
heard
right.
about it.
But let's see what happened there.
Well, it may be called Payless, but the discount shoe store found a way to get people to pay a lot more.
Right, call it an elaborate prank or the power of marketing. Greg Argos is here with the story. Very interesting, this one.
Jess, Yuki, you might not realize it, but so many different factors play a part in how much you're willing to pay for a product. As a viral video shows, even how an item is displayed can make a big difference in what people will shell out for it.
The list is made and you hit them all. How do you determine what you're going to buy?
The price. Something pretty.
I do name brand, something flashy.
Apparently the way a product is marketed can make a huge difference.
Where'd you get those?
Just take a look at this social experiment by Payless Shoe Store.
We built a fake luxury store in Los Angeles.
Changed the name and filled it with shoes that normally sell for under $20.
So they changed it to a fancy name, Payless.
I just think it's so classy.
The foreign-sounding brand and fancy display is apparently enough to persuade those invited to the grand opening to buy the shoes for up to $600.
I can tell it was made with high-quality material.
A 3,000% markup.
From Payless.
Shut up. You've got to be kidding me.
I wasn't surprised at all.
David Reebstein is a professor of marketing at the Wharton School of Business and says companies have mastered the art of getting you to open your wallet.
People look at the surroundings, and that's part of what it is that they're buying. And it's part of where we get cues.
Dr. Reebstein says those cues can be as simple as how a product is packaged, where it's from,
made in France, we think it's a superior wine.
Even how it's introduced to the public.
Toyota could have introduced their Lexus in a Toyota showroom. Instead, they created a separate showroom, a Lexus showroom. It was designed to look more upscale.
Lexus are way better than Toyotas.
He's dead right.
But now, here's something else I want you to see, all right? This one is a experiment by the show Brain Games. It's called Question the Herd. Question the Herd.
We're on the deck of the USS Intrepid conducting an experiment, and the rules of the game couldn't be simpler.
You've got to decide which one of these 3 straight lines is the same length as this first card.
Take a look for yourself. Think you've got it? Before we reveal the answer, we'll show you where these people stand.
I think it's A.
A.
A. It's A.
Yeah, I'm going to go with A.
It looks like everyone is going with A.
Definitely A.
Did they know something you don't?
What do you think?
Take one last look.
Let's pause it. What you think? Think it's C? Okay. All right, C.
Are you going with these people who all picked A? Or did you choose to go with B or C? Time's up. Got your pick?
It's A.
You're going to go with the group?
Yeah.
All right. Great.
Is that what you picked? Or did you go with another answer? It turns out the answer to this round is C. And while you likely chose C first and stuck with your answer, we also know that some viewers might
Those Muslims are so intelligent.
pressure and switch to A.
It's A.
I want to ask you something. Did your gut at first tell you that the answer was actually C?
Yeah, but everyone was choosing A, so I just felt like I had to pick A too.
You felt the pull of the crowd.
Yeah.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, we'll let you in on a little secret. The first 9 people in this line were working for us, and each time we ran the experiment, they were instructed to pick the same wrong answer.
A.
A.
A. It's A.
Seeing all these people choose A left the last person in line who wasn't in on it with a tough decision to go with their gut or with a group.
You're going to go with the group?
Yeah.
Although not all of the test subjects at the end of the line fell for it.
I think it's C.
In spite of what everybody else thinks. You don't trust the wisdom of the crowd?
I'm trusting my gut.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest, I think C looks closest.
And you think that they're all wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
And don't beat yourself up if you were tempted to go along with the crowd.
Make your choice.
I'm gonna have to go with A.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. What happened?
I have a confession.
Okay.
I actually thought it was C. So
Did you start to question your own judgment?
I did. I don't want to be the dumb kid. I don't want to stand out. You know, I was like, A.
Have you?
So think about some of the things that's going on in society that we want to question. But instead of questioning, we just follow along with everybody else. Okay? You think about 9/11.
Yeah.
You think about some of these shooting events. All right? Just because you see it a little differently, you know, you're chastised. So that's what's happening here. A lot of people, they just want to go along with the flow and go along with the crowd.
Or the truth to fit in with a group? Just think, what if those weren't lines, but evidence in a murder case? Would you be able to see past the group consensus and just go with your gut?
Studies show that when someone holds a different opinion than the rest of the group, the anterior cingulate cortex, also known as the oops area of the brain, produces an error signal. We try to fix that by modifying our opinion to be in line with the group, even if it's a viewpoint we're uncomfortable with or know is wrong. And that's because there are some major evolutionary advantages for those who follow along with the group, namely survival. If you want to stay safe, stay with the herd.
All right, so here's our next little clip. And I want you to see this because this was related to some of our warm-ups from the past. This was a little animated short that this guy did on cell phones. All right. designed that way. The creators said they designed it that way so that you would always be on it. And the other thing about always being on your phone or always having your phone with you at all times, it turns into a surveillance tool. So they know where you're at all times. They have access to wherever you're at. They can actually turn your phone on without you even knowing it and listening on your conversations. And a lot of people don't know that. What happened was they had come up with a solution to it. They said, oh yeah, well, all you have to do is just take the battery out, right? But then they started doing what? Making the phones with what? Where you couldn't remove the battery, okay? So there's a lot going on. All your text messages, all your emails, all of these things are being recorded. And it's so important for us to understand this. But this guy, he depicted basically society. You saw all the little things they were doing with the selfies and, how everybody's on their phone not paying attention, just walking around, all right? Becoming inhuman. We see things going on, and instead of trying to help out in the situation, taping it. Okay? So now let's look at some real world stuff. Okay. We'll check out a couple of And a lot of these little silly ones really are warnings. It's warnings because let's look at something a little bit different. Let's see when you're not paying attention, you're on this phone, and this happens.
ผีพายผีพายมันล้วงขาตอนคืนนะมากินปูด่าเนี่ยไปดูโอ้ตายโอ้ตายเลยผมรับได้ไหม
But this is how serious it is. Okay? That woman wasn't paying any attention to what she was doing, all on this phone. This is the power. It's like they said, it's digital heroin. Okay? Too caught up with the phone. Okay? But now, let's look at this. There's a verse in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa where Allah says that Shaitan will tip man to tamper with the nature of the creation. All right? But now, listen to this, because this is what they're doing now.
What we're going to try today are the first thin slices of steaks we have produced in a lab setting.
I think this is going to be the greatest revolution in the history of modern agriculture.
This lab-grown meat is not just a plant-based alternative like the Impossible Burger.
There's a technology that exists that allows us to, for all intents and purposes, have our bacon and eat it too, without any pigs being harmed.
Cultured meat, lab-grown meat, clean meat, whatever you want to call it, is identical to conventional meat at the cellular level, just grown in a lab, no slaughter involved. Its arrival could have massive implications for meat eaters, the U.S.'s $200 billion meat industry, and the environment. And it's happening at a pivotal time.
We can't handle more agriculture, and this growing demand is asking precisely that, and we're going to reach a breaking point.
Now, the thing is that, do you think they're going to let you know that this meat was made in a lab?
Nope. Of course not.
Because when they did the thing with the GMO meats, they ruled that they didn't have to tell you. They didn't have to label it as a GMO product. All right? So, they're basically experimenting with us because we don't know the side effects of some of this stuff that we're consuming. All right? I know in some of the tests that they did with lab rats, the lab rats were growing huge tumors, huge cancerous tumors. So, these people are, like I said, they're following the temptations of Shaitan, and they're tampering with, Allah's creation. All right? But now, another important thing that has come up is this. Because they're moving to something very rapidly. But this is in China.
By 2020, China plans to give all of its 1.4 billion citizens a personal score based on how they behave. So some people with low scores are already being punished if they want to travel. Nearly 11 million Chinese people can no longer fly, and 4 million are barred from trains. Next week, the program will start expanding nationwide. Ben Tracy is in China with what's behind the government scoring system. Ben, this sounds like scary stuff. Good morning.
A social credit score. Okay? So if your score is low, you can't get on a plane, your kid can't go to private school, okay? They're punishing their citizens. They're constantly watching them through surveillance. But now watch this.
Good morning. The government here says it is trying to purify society by rewarding those who are trustworthy and punishing those who are not. So like the credit score that most Americans get for how they handle their finances, Chinese citizens are now getting social credit scores based on everything from whether they pay their taxes on time to how they cross the street.
When Liu Hu recently tried to book a flight, he was told he was banned from flying because he's on the list of untrustworthy people. Liu was a journalist who was ordered by a court to apologize for a series of tweets he wrote and was then told his apology was insincere. I can't buy property. My child can't go to private school, he says. You feel you're being controlled by the list all the time. And the list is now getting longer. As as every Chinese citizen is being assigned a social credit score, a fluctuating rating based on a range of behaviors. It's believed that community service and buying Chinese-made products can raise your score. Fraud, tax evasion, and smoking in non-smoking areas can drop it. If a score gets too low, a person can be banned from buying plane and train tickets, real estate, cars, and even high-speed internet. It's a good thing, this woman says. There should be punishment for people who can't behave. China's growing network of surveillance cameras makes all of this possible. The country already has an estimated 176 million cameras, and it plans to have more than 600 million installed by 2020.
It can recognize more than 4,000 vehicles.
Xu Li is the CEO of SenseTime, one of China's most successful artificial intelligence companies. It has created smart cameras for the government that can help catch criminals, but also track average citizens.
This knows every person, every bike, every car, every bus.
You can tell whether it is an adult, a child, a male or female.
In several big cities in China, including here in Shanghai, the government is even tracking jaywalkers. Cameras record them going through intersections, zero in on their face, and then publicly shame them on nearby video screens.
Ken DeWaskin has studied China's economic and political culture for more than 3 decades. He says how the new scoring system truly works is kept secret and could be easily abused by the government.
How far into people's daily mundane activities does this go?
Well, I think that the government and the people running the plan would like to go as deeply as possible to determine how to allocate benefits and also how to impact and shape their behavior.
Now, there are upsides for people the Chinese government considers trustworthy. They can actually get better interest rates at banks, they can get discounts on their energy bills, and China's largest online dating site reportedly even boosts the profiles of people with high social credit scores. Nora?
Incredible. Ben Tracy in Beijing.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's the ultimate version of Big Brother's watching. No thanks.
Yeah.
Bone-chilling.
Yeah, I think so too.
Imagine that. I mean, we do have, in major cities, we do have cameras everywhere.
Yeah, but if
imagine
you're
if
jaywalking,
cameras were marking you down.
If you're jaywalking, I still expect to be able to fly.
Yeah.
Please don't take that away.
Or allow your kid to go to private school.
Yes.
No. That's a great story to see what's happening there. Thank you, Ben.
By 2020, China plans.
So all this stuff is going on, and people are not really paying attention because we're too caught up with the entertainments that they give us. I think about when I watch football. I'm watching football all day long. All day long. So that entertainment is taking me away from things, other important things that I could be doing. All right? But now, watch this. This is because we're moving towards something. All right? Because I'm taking you slowly to see something else that's going on, what they're moving to. So, check this out.
Days of overstuffed wallets in your back pocket or purse might soon come to an end. By 2020, mobile wallets on our smartphones are expected to surpass the use of credit and debit cards in the U.S. That has already happened in China. Ben Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Good morning. So when I moved here to China a couple of months ago, I kept getting...
So this is what we're moving towards. We're moving towards a cashless society. They're getting rid of paper money, okay? But now with a digital money system, then they can just kind of take money from you if they want to.
Exactly. Right.
Okay? There's no more hiding that money under the mattress. And all right? So we have to pay attention to what's going on. Here we go. Watch this.
Every time I would pull cash out of my wallet to pay for things. And then I got one of these. It's a code on my phone, and now I can basically buy anything here in China. When you pay for something, how do you pay for it?
Mobile phone.
On the streets of Beijing, cash is definitely not king.
What do you think of people who use cash to pay for things?
That's rare and weird, he says. Only the elderly and people who don't know how to use a phone pay cash. This woman says, I rarely take my wallet when I go out, just my phone. That's because those phones can buy just about anything, from clothes in the store to steamed buns on the street. They're used to pay for bike rides and bus rides, rent and utility bills.
When was the last time you used cash? A month ago? Wow, that's a long time.
WeChat and Alipay dominate China's mobile market, and payments on their platforms totaled more than $5.5 trillion last year, a 200% jump from the year before, and nearly 50 times more than the value of mobile payments in the U.S.
One of the big reasons mobile payments have caught on so quickly here in China is because of what most people here don't have in their wallets: credit cards. They basically went from a cash-based society to a cashless one and skipped the step in between.
China has leapfrogged the U.S. into going to a cashless society.
Andy Mock is an economist in Beijing. He says China's cashless revolution has happened in just 3 years, largely thanks to these things called QR codes. You simply scan them with your phone to pay. Nearly every business and person has one. From the farmer's market to the musician on the street playing for a mobile tip.
You can give a homeless person money with your phone. You would never see that in the U.S.
All you have to do is scan that code to transfer money. And it really is ubiquitous in China. From the largest cities, the fanciest hotels, to the most humble street side shacks will all use QR codes.
The Chinese are comfortable doing everything on their phones, while in the U.S., credit cards and online shopping via
What is the main thing that they're using to push people into these types of things? It's about convenience. See, we want all of these things to be so convenient, but we're not realizing what we're giving up. Okay?
Right.
computers still rule.
These kinds of legacy technologies make any adoption of newer generations of technologies much more slower. So in this sense, I think the U.S. has a little bit of catching up to do.
A recent survey found that 40% of Chinese people carry less than $15 on them, but they would never dream of leaving home without this. As one guy told me on the street, you can't achieve anything without your phone. Gail?
That guy on the street was very correct. Thank you, Ben Tracy. Didn't you love how he opened the piece? When I moved to China a couple months ago, that sounded so cool. Thank you, Ben Tracy, reporting.
You walk around Delhi and you find signs for these digital payment platforms everywhere. Paytm, Samsung, MobiKwik, just to name a few. The number of digital transactions in India have quadrupled since November last year. Welcome news to a government on a mission to reduce India's reliance on cash.
The 500 rupees. And think about the fact that they went to two of the most populated places in the world. Go ahead, sister.